Good morning.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. We are joined by Dr. Susan Hintz. Susan, how are you?
Hi, how are you? It's great seeing you here.
It's great to see you.
Yeah.
It's great to record in person.
It is. It's fantastic. And I posted on Twitter that, or whatever we're calling it now.
That's right.
I had a star sighting with the Incubator team.
Star sighting was ours.
Yeah.
No,
You're the star.
hardly. No, the stars were, we were just talking about the advocacy track.
Absolutely.
The improvement in advocacy track, and I was so honored to be able to moderate that session, and very inspiring. I think this is one of the things about this meeting that is so different from other meetings, that throughout the entire meeting, every single session, that family voice is so centered in all aspects of NEC, what that means for families. And advocacy definitely was front and center on that with Kim Novod from Saul's Light, and just an incredibly inspiring story. And like Jen Canvasser, who started the NEC Society, she has just been very thoughtful and very driven in getting support and advocating for families who have lost their child. And her community connections are amazing.
Yeah.
I really recommend going on that website because it's stunning, what she has put together. But the other aspects of that advocacy, discussion included Shetel Shaw and Mark Del Monte from AAP, and they both had inspiring, empowering, and really, energizing stories to tell. And basically, it was great that they were both on because they could really talk hand in hand about what kind of advocacy can be done and can be successful at the state level. For achieving Medicaid support for donor human breast milk. And then Adrienne McIntyre, who did a fantastic job, talking really more like what can we do at the local level in the NICU. And so I thought it was, I just loved to listen to them all. But I think it was also great that they talked about the challenges, because that's one thing that always is concerning when you hear all of this. Is like, everything just sounds like people are going to be overwhelmed with how fantastic it is and how, all these things are done. And it's kind of like, well, I don't know how to do that. But they were really thoughtful about pointing out, here's a hurdle, and here's a hurdle, and here are some resources that can help you through those hurdles. So it was great. That was a great session.
Yeah, I feel like they were very balanced, but
Yeah.
they still left you with this feeling like, we can do it.
Yes.
We can. If
Yes,
we put
very
in the effort
positive and empowering.
we keep doing our cycles,
Yes.
so we can get it done.
Yeah. I think one of the things that is also a thread through the entire advocacy story is crafting a message that is powerful. And again, coming back to family voices, the most powerful message that you can tell is from the perspective of the family. And there are so many mothers here, and that mother power is just undeniable, So, in advocacy, partner with parents.
I think so. I was going to say it's like if you are a clinician or a researcher, it fuels you. You want to almost go back and say, all right, for that, I want to,
That's actually great to hear. Really great to hear, because I think that's exactly what these sessions are meant to do, is get people like, I am, we did a word cloud, I'm not that great with these things, but, and it took me I had a few little missteps with the Mentimeter, surveys, but I was, trying to do my part, but we did a little word cloud of like, what are the words that you can describe now after hearing this session, and exactly energizing.
That's great.
So I think you are absolutely right. That's exactly what people are saying. Like, I can do this. I can go back and get something done. So it was a great session.
What are you looking for today?
Oh my gosh, it is a packed session. I'm just
yes.
it's hard for me to think of all the things that we've got going here, well, they changed that. So they've changed things around a little bit.
They definitely have a knack for adapting, because
For sure.
this has been the other theme of the
Well,
conference.
actually, before we run out of time with you, you did moderate a different session yesterday.
No, I spoke at a session.
Spoke at
yeah.
a session, yes.
Yeah.
Understanding how NEC affects neurodevelopment.
Yes.
And before we run out of time with you, I think that's an important piece
Yeah.
of the long-term outcome story.
Yes, yes, and so thanks for mentioning that. I think that also is a family-focused story. I did, present the information about neurodevelopmental outcomes in necrotizing enterocolitis, but also tried to highlight what the limitations of some of that data are. Because it depends on what's in there for NEC. Is it a medical NEC and surgical NEC combined? When did the NEC occur? NEC is a continuum, obviously. But there's no doubt that having necrotizing enterocolitis, especially surgical necrotizing enterocolitis, is associated with increased risk for the traditional endpoints that we consider to be the traditional endpoints in studies of neurodevelopmental impairment. But the point I think I really tried to drive home, and I was so grateful to Crystal, who spoke after I did, because I think it blended well, was that we are not doing the best job that we can in asking the questions in outcomes that are meaningful to families, that are understandable to families, and that impact them. So I really tried to highlight also Jen Canvasser led amazing work with a survey that actually started at the NEC Symposium in 2019, a survey, a lot of which was open-ended questions, parents and survivors, adult survivors of NEC. And it just drove home we are not doing what we need to do to refocus our energy on parents, families, and survivors, and the important outcomes for them. And also, as I said in my talk, it drives me absolutely nuts when people say long-term outcomes and they're really talking about 2-year outcomes, because those are not long-term outcomes. That is not a long-term outcome for a family. And so we have to do a better job at, and funding agencies actually have to do a better job of understanding why it's important to follow patients with this high-risk condition, but high-risk infants in general much later.
Takes me right back to the podcast that we recorded. So if anybody is interested in hearing
Right.
Susan speak more about this, episode 106 of the Incubator podcast, where we talk a lot about neurodevelopmental outcome. And yes, I could not agree with you more. You echo a lot of the points my mentor used to make. So yeah.
And remind me who your mentor was.
Charlie Bauer.
Oh my gosh, I love Charlie. Love
Yeah.
that. Well, you're very lucky.
Yeah.
Great mentor. And then, of course, the mentor of all of us is Maureen Hack.
That's right.
So,
That's right.
And she and Sarush Segal and Betty Vore have done an amazing job of highlighting the importance of that long-term outcome into adulthood. So,
Susan, thank you so much for dropping
thank
by.
you. It was great to talk with you again.
Likewise.
We'll,
Okay.
we'll see you
Okay.
around the conference.
We will, yeah.